Okay, so this is the first live stream actually I'm doing the right way today, I think. So I suppose that's good news. Um, so here we're basically what my plan is for this is basically we can kind of hang out a little bit before discuss some things that have recently surfaced before the launch actually happens, go over a couple bits of data I wanted to show, and then we're going to jump into live stream, and then hopefully this week another video up kind of summarizing the live stream for those who maybe don't have time to tune in for the whole thing, and whatnot. So that's kind of the idea here. So I'm just going to wait for some people to trickle in to the live event here. And we'll get started. Oh dear. So, okay, here's our event. Should I stream from AMD's site, you think, or YouTube's website here? I don't know which one. I don't know which one to go off here. So anyway, so basically sitting here waiting. So today we're looking at Zen 3, and really I don't think there's going to be a launch of a product today. I could be wrong, I could be right, but I don't think we're going to have a product launch today. I think more what we're looking at is something along the lines of an architecture launch. We can expect products, I'm thinking, about a week from now, week or two from now, and they'll just start trickling out throughout the next year. So that is just to not overhype things. I think that's what we're going to see. Now, they may release like performance and data based on that. So we may find out clock speeds and core counts and such, or an idea of what those could look like through this live event. But I don't see any products being launched today, though I may be wrong. So that's kind of the brief overview of what I am looking at in this stream. And for those who, yeah, it was this past weekend I put a video up, and I'm looking at it right now. See, make sure I am on the right video. Yeah, I did a video on Zen 3 this past week, and I really didn't have too much to say on that because they've really kept things tight as far as what we can expect. I mean, we know it's going to be good, but they've really kept information tight this time around with Zen 3, so we don't know for sure what exactly to expect. Really, there's, like that's why I said, it's mainly an architecture launch, and from here, I think we'll really be able to see what the product stack would look like and what we'll be able to see as far as performance and feature sets and such. Which I will say that there looks like there's going to be a pretty decent feature set with this architecture launch, not only just on the architecture side, but on the software side. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. So that'll be something to look forward to. And then if you have any questions, I'll remind people throughout this, you're welcome to drop them in the chat. I don't have slow mode on or anything like that, so you can spam your questions all you want. I'll try to answer them for you. And then during the presentation, I don't want to talk the whole time, so you can actually hear the information. I will try to sneak commentary in here and there while music might be playing or speakers are switching or something like that. If you have questions during that time, I'll try to get to them, but most likely I'll answer them after the presentation is over, just so I can, you can hear all the information. I don't want you to miss anything, and I don't want to miss anything because I may be trying to answer a question while some of the information is being presented. That could be really key information. So, with that out of the way, looking to see if there's any tech news while we're waiting here that I can announce. So there's not a lot of big news today from what I'm seeing. Oh, they've confirmed Ryzen 5000. Let me see where that is. It says Zen 3. Okay, but here, so let me see. There's an article here on Tech Power Up. I'm going to click here. I'm going to show you guys this. This I found interesting. I'm just looking at stuff today. I've been so busy setting this up and getting a bunch of other different things done in my day because I'm busy. But right here. Okay. So YouTube live stream is 5,000. Oh, they changed it. They changed the name. They changed the name. 5000 series desktop processors. And now it's just AMD Ryzen desktop processors. They won't even tell us the name. That's funny. They won't even say the naming scheme. Now I saw that. I looked at this yesterday when they launched it, and I never even caught that. I feel really embarrassed I didn't catch that. Oh my goodness, I can't believe they leaked that. Okay, so that's a little tidbit. So we have that confirmed. That's something I got right, I guess I can say. Let's see if there's anything else going on in the world of tech. Okay, Intel. Let's talk about Intel a little bit while we're waiting because this is obviously a big day for Intel as it's a big hit to their market share. So Intel's always been more of a top-end desktop and a mobile CPU company. They're not really good at the low to mid-range desktop chips. And server, they're losing market share. Enthusiasts, they're losing massive market share as far as Xeon and Threadripper go. Not enthusiast as in, top normal sized, normal priced computer chips. So like an i9 is not really enthusiast in my opinion. It's just high end. But apart from the i9 and maybe the i7, they're really not doing too well. And this is just going to take over the entire desktop market share for AMD. Intel only sells about 10% out of all CPU sales are from Intel, whereas the rest are from AMD. And most of those are from the tippy top end of Intel, or you have the people who have just been using Intel for years and years and years, and they're going to go with what they've been using for years and years and years. But that's such a small number these days. As I said, it only is amounting to about 10% of the actual CPU sales or Intel sales. This here is going to completely it's basically going to be like AMD all the way around. You might see some Intel here and there, but it's mainly AMD. The only way I see things changing is if they would drop pricing. I think even if they released something good, it would take a while for them to gain some trust back from people. And I think they would have to drop pricing in order for Intel to really gain that market share back. So Intel shifted focus really from desktop to mobile chips and laptops and such. And with AMD's 4000 series, they hit that market hard. And I think they're going to continue to hit that market hard. And I think slowly that's slipping away from Intel, not to mention, and this was a small part of Intel's market share, but Apple left Intel, which when Apple left Intel, it really wasn't as much about the money or the market share. It was more about Apple's a big company, and whether you like them or not, you can say that they're pretty successful. I mean, they're the highest, most expensive company in the world at over $2 trillion. So Apple is a very, very big company, and I'm sure it does influence, other laptop makers, even though they might just run on Windows. It's still what Apple's doing might influence them. And when Apple left Intel due to unreliability and their inability to deliver on time and good quality products, I think that really shifted the mobile market towards AMD. And that's why I think, AMD is just all around. They're going to be running the CPU business now. And I think Intel is going to become more of an IBM. And I could be wrong. But Intel doesn't seem to be doing much to help themselves. In fact, they seem to just be hurting themselves every time they turn around, delaying products and all sorts of just crazy stuff. Because, I mean, I guess I guess that's how Intel works sometimes. But they've been doing this, I think it's like 2017, 2016 is really when things started to fall. And then the announcement of delayed 7 a.m. that was just the nail in the coffin for Intel, I think. And, here today we're going to see, I mean, the last hope they had was at 10900K. So actually, I'm gonna take a look at that, 10900K. And because I just want to see really what it's all about. So, okay. Look at these specs. So up to 5.3 gigahertz, max turbo 5.3 gigahertz, Intel Turbo Max. This is confusing. Then it's Intel Turbo Max 5.2 gigahertz. Base is 3.7. So what we're looking at here is what looks like a 5 gigahertz chip, but really when you look at it more. And if you click here, increases clocks, operating below its maximum temperature and whatnot, but it's going to be taking an insane cooling system, which we've seen, to get it to that 5.3 gigahertz mark. If we look here, I'm trying to think of an i7 10. Gosh, I don't even know the naming scheme. Let's see. I think this is the next one that would here's Amazon. And we see 8 cores, 16 threads, up to 5.1 gigahertz. So they have 5 gigahertz 8-core chip. This is why I said there's a 5-core or a 5 gigahertz AMD chip, because if Intel's been doing it on 14 nanometer, there's no way AMD can't do it. And the base frequency seems to be about on par with what AMD has for this generation's base frequencies and such. So I think it's possible. Now, another thing that I think, even though they might not hit, I don't think they'll hit above 5 gigahertz, to be honest. But I think what the advantage AMD ultimately will have with this is AMD is able to hold those higher clocks longer. So, while Intel you might be getting, let's say, 5.2 gigahertz, and AMD you're getting 5.1 gigahertz, Intel's is only for, let's say, a second it holds that clock. AMD is holding that clock for 3 seconds. So Intel, you gain 100 megahertz. AMD, you're gaining 300 megahertz. So that's 200 megahertz more. So AMD in the long run is outperforming Intel. And that's, of course, max based on the heat and such, and the temperature of the processor and such. But I don't see, in a regular system, with, I would say, decent cooling, water cooling and such, I would say that AMD, they'll probably hit about 4.95 gigahertz best, the average of the best. There will be some that'll hit higher, but I'd say, conservatively, that's what we'll see. And that's, of course, on single core performance. I don't think they're hitting that on all cores. I don't think we're there yet. But even all core, I think we're going to see, I think single core or single threaded applications, we're seeing about 25% increase. And single core and multi core was anywhere from 15 to 20% increase. So that's still very, very good, considering it's only been about a year since we've really, year and a half since we've really had a new architecture launch. And last year's was pretty amazing. So this is a big leap forward. And if they can do this, I mean, it'd be amazing. I've got a Ryzen 9 3900X. So if we look here, let's just look real quick. Goodness, there's so many of these. Ryzen Threadripper. Consumer processors. Oh, I was like, where is that? We put them right together. So Ryzen 9. X570, B550. Okay. So it has a base clock of 3.8 gigahertz and a boost clock of 4.6. On average, it's hitting about 4.4, I'd say. So if they would bump this up 400 megahertz, they can get to 5 gigahertz. Now, Intel has an 8-core chip, 3.8 gigahertz, that's hitting 5.1 gigahertz. And Intel, as we know, is a little behind. So I think if AMD can get this, they won't get to 5 gigahertz, I guarantee they're going to get to 4.9. And then this here, I guarantee it will be either 4.9 or 4.8 gigahertz. I don't think the 5950 or the 5950X will hit 5 gigahertz, but you got to think you got 16 cores in that package. So that's pretty amazing, you know, to be quite honest. But here, this is another thing you have to look at. This is not on the new node, and what's really cool about the 3900 XT is it's 100 megahertz higher. So really, if they were able to do this, theoretically, we only have 300 megahertz to go in a whole new architecture with decreased latency, with an improved die. I believe this is on. I'm trying to think of what node this is on. AMD ZEN roadmap. I think it was on an EUV node. I'm not sure though. I'll have to take a look at this. Okay. Yes, so this is on EUV. So if this is on 7 nanometer EUV node, which means the transistors are more tightly packed and accurately spaced because of that. And spacing ultimately will help with the density. So you're getting better efficiency there so you can pull more power. You know, these things are only pulling 105 watts, which really isn't that bad. Which I'm really curious. What in the world is that 10900K pulling? Okay, 125 watts. So, but when it boosts it, it's 250 watts. What in the world? That's crazy. I've got to see this here. Oh, that's the wrong one. Let's go to the XT, just because this is the newest as far as clocks go. I don't even see the TDP. That's odd. Where is it? I can't find it on here. Okay, let's just go here, then we'll see if it's on this processor. Yeah, it's not even on here. The TDP. Oh, there it is. 105 watts. So I'm going to see here if I can find boost. Yeah, I'm not seeing. That's a 3900. That's just an that was a OEM chip. 12 core, 24 threads. Yeah, I just Intel's CPUs eat power. So AMD definitely has the room to pull more power if they would need to get higher clocks on these chips. Which, I mean, I really like that. I think that's a very good thing. Very good news for AMD. So that'll be happening, and we know about the combined CCX. So instead of a 4-core CCX, we have an 8-core CCX. So that'll decrease latency. And really, latency is the last thing AMD has to worry about. They've gotten the core count. The clocks, I think they'll solve. You know, I think they'll be pretty good with the clocks at this architecture launch. They have certainly very good efficiency on these, you know, processors. The thermals are pretty good on these processors. Really, all that's left is the latency. That's really the only advantage Intel still has is latency. And with that combined CCX, the latency issue is no more. And that honestly, I mean, that's what's really going to contribute to the enormous increase in performance. So we're looking at anywhere from 15 to 25% performance. And, you know, after this, the rest is history. I mean, they're going to hit 5 nanometers. Intel's going to be on 10 nanometers, maybe 7 nanometers. Goodness knows how long they'll delay 7 nanometers. And I think AMD is just going to keep innovating. And like I said before, Intel's really, their only advantage would be dropping pricing. That's the only thing they can really do to compete with AMD because their technology won't match up. And that's another thing I want to talk about is pricing increases this generation because I know that's been a concern. So here's what I want to, you know, talk about. I'm torn if AMD will increase pricing. If they do, here's how I think it'll work. AMD will release a product. For example, the 3900X launched at $500. So let's go to Micro Center. which Micro Center is by far the best pricing, but I just want to okay, $400. We'll go to Amazon. That's XT. $430. New egg. $440. That doesn't look right. New egg's pricing's a bit weird. What in the world? That's a combo. Some of these are weird. Yeah, I'm not a fan of these, but if we go off this one, $440. So all in all, it's dropped about anywhere from $60 to $100 since they have launched. Okay, so if AMD's been able to drop pricing $60 to $100 for lunch, I think what they'll do now, look at these processors. We can look at another one here. Let's look at the 3800X. I don't think they dropped any pricing on the 3950X, but that's kind of its own little class. Micro Center again. So we can do the 3800X. They don't even have one in stock. That's weird. They don't even have a 3800. Let's do a 3700X then. What in the world? This is odd. AMD. It's selected for AMD. That's funny. Yeah, here it is, 3700X. What the heck? Micro Center, what are you doing? Oh, they actually dropped that. Wow, $70. They dropped the 3950X $70. That's actually pretty good. Okay, the XT. Yeah, they don't even sell a 3080. Oh, here it is. So it launched at $400. They dropped it $80. And we look here. They dropped this one $60. So there's another one here. This one's $60. This one's insane. They dropped. This one's $105. Okay. But that's a 3700X. Never mind. So $60. So they dropped that one about $68. So maybe instead of dropping pricing, say $50 to $70 or $60 to $80, $60 to $100, they might drop it something around $40 to $80 on the 5900X, and they might drop it anywhere from say 30 to 60, 20 to 50 on the 5800X. I think if they're going to raise pricing, they're not actually going to raise pricing. They're going to raise the price they're going to raise the price it's dropped at. So it's not going to drop as much. Or they might raise it like $20, maybe $50 at most on some of the high-end products. But I don't think, if they're going to raise pricing, I don't think it's going to be big. And I honestly, at this point, I really doubt they're going to raise pricing just because I don't think they're going to want to lose market share. Because AMD knows that they raise price and they'll start to lose the trust of the people that are buying the products, of the consumers. And I don't think they want to take that risk just yet because they still have, this architecture to go at least to beat Intel. After this, I think they can go crazy, and I think that's a little bit troublesome, but I think this is the last time they really, I think they might hold back for sure on raising pricing just because of that. So yeah, that's about my take on the pricing raise. We are currently 35 minutes away from the start of the Zen 3 launch. I'm super excited. Hope everyone in the chats and who's watching this is doing well. And we're going to kind of, like I said, we're going to get started here shortly. It's premiering in 33 minutes. So I'm a little bit wrong on my timing there. And AMD seems to be, they seem to be confident about this. There's a lot of engineers internally in AMD that are pretty confident about this launch. So that is something that, I find that to be quite interesting that, they're just like they said Big Navi is going to be the NVIDIA killer. They're saying this is the Intel killer. Um, Here, I'm going to look real quick and see if I can get this. I created a new logo I wanted to show off. I can't find it. It's called Graphic Zone logo right here. Okay, so let me know what you think of this logo. I took this font, and that's actually AMD's font I have this running on, except it's not bold. It's semi-bold because the bold looked weird. I might go back and change that. I don't know. Let me know. And then I put a circle around, but the background, as you can see here, actually see the background is silicon wafers. You can see all the little well, I don't know whose silicon this may be or what this is for, but whether it's like compute units or CPU cores or cache or whatnot, you can see, the wafers all set up here. So I just found that was, a bit more, oh, sorry, my microphone way down. I thought that was a bit more, good for the, good for the logo. I think it made more sense to have a logo like this. So let me know what you think of this logo. I did change it to the channel logo. Before I had like this, it was fine. It was a blue and white G and a Z, but the cropping was bad, how it was cropped, because I didn't, I tried to account for that. The most part wasn't bad, but a little bit of the Z was cut off, and it was just basic. So I think now this, it's nothing spectacular, but I think it does the channel a bit more justice. So I am kind of happy with how it's all turning out. Okay. Let's see here if we can find. Here's our live video. I'm looking at our analytics right now. See what all's going on the live side of things. Let me see, actually. Trying to see. I'm still new. I'm still trying to figure out some of this stuff here. Okay. Wow. Oh. Hello. I just saw your chat. Yeah, prices are really low in the U.S. That's one of the nice things about, the state of the market here in the U.S. with silicon and such is AMD has been very generous in its pricing in the U.S. But I hope that, worldwide, obviously, it has to do with trade regulations, and it has to do with, tariffs and how, commerce is regulated in that country that could ultimately contribute to the pricing. But, let's hope for the best. Let's hope for the best. Maybe this launch, maybe we'll see something change. Maybe, something good will happen. I know they normally won't go, back on what they were going to choose for the pricing on the last generation, but maybe this generation we will see something better. But yeah, pricing, we are pretty grateful here in the U.S. to have such good pricing on silicon, at least from the AMD side. On Intel, I don't know so much, but I can only speak really for the United States on that part. So, yeah, is this lagging? I'm getting I'm trying to improve the quality of this stream here. What am I? Let's see what I'm streaming in. I'm trying to see. So I'm at 480p, but I'm able to hit 1080 60. Okay, so thank goodness. I want to make sure I'm at good quality for you guys when AMD really kicks off. For me, just talking back and forth, I don't think you guys would care as much. But yeah, stream health's good. Got a lot of amazing people here viewing the video. That's nice to see. So, wow. This is good. Okay, so if you guys have questions about news or AMD or Intel or anything like that, maybe even RDNA 2. If you have questions on RDNA 2, I do have some dirt on RDNA 2 I'd love to talk about right now while we have some time left over before this stream starts. So if you want to hear about RDNA 2, put that in the chat, please. I am going to be making a video here after I make the video this weekend, the next video will be about RDNA 2 exclusively, which I didn't want to do that just because Zen 3 was launching and there's a ton of stuff that popped out. I'm actually going to show you guys, because I want to show you how big Big Navi is. Now, I'm sure you guys have all seen Cortex and the leak, but for those who haven't, this is Big Navi. This could be the XTX die, or really the largest die of Big Navi. It is about 536 millimeters squared. So if I'm doing my math correctly, and goodness, I misplaced my calculator somewhere. So let me see if I can do the math real quick here. So the old die for the 5700 XT was 251 millimeters squared. So if we take that and we take the square root of that, we have 15 millimeters by 15 millimeters, but we rounded up 16 millimeters by 16 millimeters. So this die here is 536 millimeters squared, but we have to divide that by 16 because it's not a square this time, it's a rectangle. So you divide that by 16, we're left with 33.5 millimeters long. So, but what I really want to get to with this die size isn't much, with the dimensions, the math and such. It's that the APU for the PS5, so PS5 APU die, I think it's around 250 millimeters squared. It's 300 millimeter. No, that's tech power up. Okay. Total APU die size, 307 millimeters squared. Okay. APU specs leaked. Why did Sony title an article like this? All right, no, SonyPS5.com. Okay. Appy Sack. Let's see here if we can. 3.2. Trying to find that die size. They just did it. They just deconstructed it yesterday. I can't find that die size. APU. Let's see if we can tech power up here. Let's see what this. September 15th. Okay. SoC. I can't seem to find it. But I think it's around like 250, 300, whatever. So if we look at an 8-core CPU, let's just look at the 3800X die size or chip size. It's a chip size. Let's see if I have any dimensions on that. Not find anything. Oh, here we go. Here's an image. So looking at this is the chip. This is quite small, but it's only a CPU and such. But if we do the math, and let's say the die is about 300 millimeters squared, the CPU, let's say it's about 100 millimeters squared, we're left with about 200 millimeters squared, anywhere from I think 150 to 225 millimeters squared is left for the GPU. And we have 40 compute units in there. And actually, Not an Apple Fan did. I'll try to get a link in there to his video. He did something on that too yesterday where he was talking about how Navi 22 is the same compute units as Navi 10. And, I've got 72 millimeters squared, 74. Thank you so much. I'm having trouble with this. I'm new to live stream. I'm sorry about that. So 74. So is that for the PS5 or is that for the 3800X? What is that for? What's those numbers for? So if he was right, we're losing, or we're not losing. We're saving 51 millimeters squared, 3800X. Okay, thank you. So at the PlayStation, I gotta find that die size. PlayStation 5 die size. And ultimately, the good thing about the consoles is you're able to indicate what the desktop cards, what the discrete GPUs are gonna be. It even has the freaking SSD size. I don't want the SSD. Oh my lord. Total APU, it's speculation. The PS5 or PS4 Pro was 325. So even if it's around 300, if we take off 74, we're looking at about 325. So yeah, I think that is about right then. If we take off, and that was an 8-core CPU, which obviously, I mean, it's an APU, and I think, is it on Zen 2 architecture? It's on RDNA 2. TSMC Note 7nm Plus CPU, but it's customized Zen 2. Okay, so it's customized Zen 2, but it's on 7nm Plus. That's only on Reddit, though. I want to see something more reliable. PlayStation APU Zen 3. This is really bad. Zen 3. I don't think that's it. AMD's first. That's an article. Zen PS5. Does anyone know what if Zen 3 is in the PS5, or is it a Zen 2 chip? Because the density will change because Zen 3 is on an EUV node, so it's more accurate spacing. So ultimately, you can fit more transistors, or have a smaller piece of silicon, however you want to. Yeah, that's okay. It looks like it's gonna be on the Zen 2, so it is on Zen 2. So we can confirm it's about the same size. The Reddit link second go, I think it's saying Zen 2. Yeah, it was. I just didn't want to say something unreliable, but I think I've seen a lot of Zen 2. So it's a customized Zen 2. So if we take that 74, so if we have, let's say just 300 minus 70. 75, 74. We're left with 225. So 225, mind you, it is an APU, so there could be a bit of other features. So we're looking at about, yes, Graphic Challenge is live. I have some things to say about him in a little bit here. I'll talk about. But we're looking at about anywhere from 200 to 225 millimeters squared for the GPU size, and with that being, we can expect that, we're looking anywhere from 25 to 50 millimeters squared less of die used. So if that's true, and we're looking at a 40 CU, let's say conservatively we're looking at 225. I really can't find my calculator though, but that's beside the point. 225 for 40 CUs. We're getting 450 millimeters squared. So if we're getting 450 millimeters squared off of that, and the actual die is 336 or 536, we're looking at, we have 86 millimeters squared left. And the original die that we were hearing about was a 505 millimeters squared, but what I think that was the 384-bit bus die is what I'm thinking that was, because the 384-bit bus die ultimately it wasn't going to cut it, because the cache is the lowest latency memory you can possibly use. And AMD was like, well, if we can just stuff this thing with cache, it's going to be cheaper than a wider bus, and it's going to perform either the same or what I think better. So that leaves us, if we had that original sample, which is the 505, where they were going to go with the 384-bit bus before they came up with the idea of the infinity cache, and then they switched the infinity cache and they added, which I already think they had a decent amount of cache on there on that 384-bit bus. And I think they thought, well, we'll just take it all the way. We'll put 128 megabytes of cache or some sort of change in the cache configuration, which ultimately is allowing for much performance. I honestly think the infinity cache may perform in some cases. It's all dependent upon clock speeds, but these GPUs can clock insanely. So if you have a lot of cache and high clocks, I think these things could honestly perform just the same as a 512-bit bus. And I know that's extreme. I know that's kind of a bold claim to make, but I think AMD, they're really onto something with this. This is something NVIDIA has not come up with. This is actually something that is groundbreaking. for AMD. And hello everyone who just joined. I have 7 amazing people watching my video now. Thank you. We're talking about RDNA 2 right now, but we're going to be waiting for the Zen 3 launch, which is coming up shortly. To fill you all in, this is a die from Cortex, which is a 536mm square die. And the FaceTime XT was a 251mm square die. And we're discussing right now how if 40 CUs on the new RDNA 2 architecture is about 225 millimeters squared, and this die is 80 CUs, then we have about 86 millimeters square of silicon left over for cache. So that's to catch you all up on the discussion there. So yeah, our RDNA 2 really, it's going to be crazy. And then from there we have RDNA 3, which is a chiplet design and enhanced geometry and ray tracing. That's another thing I want to talk. Ray tracing on RDNA 2 is going to be better than Turing. And as I stated in my video about RDNA 2 a while back, RDNA 2 utilizes the help of the console makers because they're all sharing R&D. And this is how AMD is able to compete with NVIDIA. AMD might not have as much money as NVIDIA or Intel, but AMD has some of this shared R&D. And like Mark Cerny said from Sony, he said that they are sharing, technology. So if Sony comes up with something, they share with AMD. If AMD comes up with something, they share with Sony. So he said that you'll see some crossover between the desktop and the consoles. Now we know the consoles are pretty much sealed, set, done, design, but the desktop, AMD was, last time, this was about a couple weeks ago, AMD was still tweaking things. So if the PlayStation team or the Xbox team or whatnot, Microsoft or Sony, they were able to come up with, enhanced, which I know my Xbox, they came up with customized ray tracing. And I know PlayStation 5 was, working on, latency and clock speeds. That's why we're seeing the potential 2.5. I think at the time, when they released it, 2.23 was the max. And then whatever Sony discovered, AMD worked on more and more and more, along with having room for a higher TDP to allow them to reach that 220 or 2500 megahertz boost clock speed. So I think the R&D from the consoles, but yeah, I think that performance for ray tracing will definitely be better than Turing. And I think conservatively you can say it'll be less than Ampere, but not by much. But there is a case where it could match or beat Ampere because Ampere's ray tracing is not as great as everyone is making out to be. Ampere was really not a very good launch, and that's why, if you haven't heard already, NVIDIA delayed the 3070 is because they're trying to get more stock. But they just know it's a terrible launch, and I don't really know what they're doing with that card. They're doing something tricky, which I actually want to show you guys. I love shouting out people just to help other people in the community, of course. But I want to show you a video here, and I'm gonna link this in the description. This video here, the Ultimate Play video by Moore's Law is Dead, which I have a personal channel I watch this on, so yes, I do like everyone's videos. I just don't watch them on this channel normally. But this kind of describes NVIDIA's big plan to essentially screw the consumer over. Now, RDNA 2 is coming out with insanely good specs, insanely good pricing, and it's going to be very, very competitive with Ampere. So now either Ampere's down, obviously, in stock and high in demand. What I'm seeing is going to happen with this scenario is NVIDIA has backed themselves into a corner that they cannot get out of. If they raise pricing, they're going to lose even more market share to AMD, and AMD is going to run all over them. If they keep pricing at the same, AMD is already taking a lot of market share because they have more availability, and potentially AMD's pricing is so competitive that they might even have to drop, NVIDIA might have to drop pricing, which if they do, they would be taking a complete loss on their cards, making virtually no money off of them, which we already know that I think they're making about anywhere from 10 to 20% margins, even AIBs, and AIBs aren't happy. with this either. So AMD's backed themselves, or not AMD, NVIDIA's backed themselves into a corner with this one. And I really think, I'm going to put this in the chat here. Oh, I keep copy pasting things wrong today. And I really think that, overall, it's just NVIDIA's there. I wouldn't say they're becoming an Intel just yet, but they're starting to go down that path because they're trying to cater to a very, very small market of high-end users, and they're not really trying to listen to the consumer anymore. The consumer's more just pawns for them. And I think that's where AMD really has a competitive advantage of both CPU and GPU. Is AMD ultimately looks at the consumer. That's how they really revolutionize things with the Zen architecture. They want to work with the consumer because the consumer is a little bit like testing for their server products, which server products are what these companies really rely on, is the server sales. But they need the consumer to first vet the architecture and vet the designs and such on a large scale. And they want to work with the consumer to provide, the best architecture and performance as possible for them, because, consumers are pretty strapped on, pricing and the amount of power they can draw and thermals and such. And then they'll take that architecture, tidbits from that architecture, and they'll take the feedback from the consumer performance and such, and they'll put that into the server products. And that's why often you see that professional products and server products, they tend to launch a little behind the consumer products, because that is then going back in and taking that data, taking that feedback from the consumer. But AMD has a very good relationship with their consumers because they try to create products for the consumer. We wanted a 4K graphics card. They're going to deliver us through a big Navi a true 4K graphics card. We wanted, more than 8 cores. They delivered more than 8 cores on their CPUs. We want higher clocks. Today they're going to deliver higher clocks. We want, top performance. We don't just want good performance. We want top performance. And today AMD is going to deliver top performance. And that for me is really what is so amazing about what AMD is doing is they're really they are working for the consumer, and I think that's good. And I don't know if that's always going to be like that, but as of now, I know they are, and that's why they're so successful. And that is why Intel and NVIDIA are not as successful. I wouldn't say I'm necessarily fanboying AMD. I'm just basically saying if you're going to be in business, you got to work for the consumer. You can't sit there and work for your pocketbook, because like Intel did, they got greedy and it just didn't work out well. They didn't listen to the consumer. They went off on their own path of what they thought was going to be good and what they thought was right to make themselves the most money and such. And then Intel fell. I mean, this is basically, if they don't drop pricing or come out with something truly crazy, Intel's cooked. I think they're just going to decline, and within 5 to 10 years, they're basically going to become obsolete. Really the only good thing Intel's been able to do is the Z integrated graphics. That is pretty good. I will give them credit. But you're comparing that to Vega, and AMD still has RDNA and RDNA 2, which is much, much more efficient. And it is, clock speeds and such much, much better with hitting those clock speeds. So if you put an RDNA 2 APU in, or RDNA 2 integrated GPU into an APU, I mean, that thing would it would kick Z around, like a can down the street. I mean, that's how good it is. And I really believe RDNA 2 is that good. I think RDNA 2, to be honest, RDNA 2 is going to perform better in the mobile space than it will in the desktop space as far as sales and market share, because NVIDIA stuff is running so hot. Like, they're pulling insane amounts of power and insane temperatures. I mean, the 3090 cooler is a really sick cooler, but it's got to be that way because it's got to cool that behemoth card. And AMD, they're putting along with 300 watts, max they're pulling, and Ampere's pulling watts left and right. Ampere needs so much power that they had to create a whole new power connector for it. I mean, it's power hungry. And There were some thermal issues, the memory and such on that too. But that's one thing you have to look at with AMD is they tend to be running cooler, and I think that's where they ultimately gain more efficiently, and that's where I think they ultimately are going to gain some mobile market share there. Okay, so 10 minutes to go, less than 10 minutes to go until Zen 3 is launching. And there's a bunch of people hyped up, man. They're just all screaming AMD, AMD, AMD. But we're getting ready here to watch the launch of the AMD Zen 3. What do you think is going to happen? Put that in the chat. What do you think is going to happen this launch? I'm super excited to get started here. I want to do a quick audio test. So if you guys can just, I'll actually see here. I'm going to make sure that audio is working. Okay. Okay. I wonder if that worked. Hold on. I'm trying to see my audio is working. Okay. So I just want to make sure my audio is working. So when this went on, I didn't have people screaming at me saying, "Where's the audio? Where's the audio? We can't hear AMD." So I wanted to fix that because that's a lot of things. A lot of times people have that issue in live streams is where you can't hear what the presentation actually is saying. So I wanted to make sure that that we could hear that presentation. So here we go. 5 minutes, guys. Can you believe it? 5 minutes till Zen 3 is launching. So I want you to comment down in the chat. What is the highest clock frequency you think we're going to see out of Zen 3? Because there's a chance they might release stuff or talk about clocks today. So I'm going to put my answer in the chat. And if you guys want to put yours in, and then after this presentation, we'll evaluate what AMD is going to do. But yeah, I'm really excited. I'm happy you guys are all here to join me on this event. I'm sorry I couldn't get the Ampere out. I had an issue. YouTube had to have me verify the live stream 24 hours before, even though my channel was verified already. So I was a little bit upset about that. So I did record that video and streamed on Twitch, but we're better. We're better. We figured this live stream out. I think the channel's, really going in a good direction. But what I really like to see, and this is one thing I'm going to do real quick while I have some time to switch my screen real quick, is I want to just show you guys the comment sections of this channel. Because, there's some truly amazing stuff going on in these comments. You guys give me really good feedback. This video wasn't that good for feedback. I think this video was the one. Yeah, I had a lot of good feedback here. And I had some people that, especially, in this thread in particular, it was really some very beneficial feedback that was able to help me, shape the channel into something. And I'm not, I'm not going to say I'm the best at this because I'm not. But what I want to say is I'm trying to grow this channel to something that you guys would like to see, and what, content you guys want, and to provide things in the best format possible, and not just necessarily scream out, what the corporate, entities want you to hear from AMD, Intel, or NVIDIA. I want to give my thoughts, and I'm going for a raw, uncut video format, which, let me know. I just roll images on my videos. Do you want to see like video clips instead of the images? Because I can try to do that. I just did images because it's the easiest, and I am going to work on a bit of a better channel intro. I also redid the logo. I'll pop this up here real quick. That's the new logo. With some silicon in the background. Goodness, I can't believe it. My heart's racing. It's 5 minutes till launch. This is exciting. This is super exciting. It's, like I said, I can't get over. I'm actually spending it with my subscribers here, and maybe you're not subscribed. Maybe you're just watching in, which, welcome. I'm not gonna sit there and force y'all to subscribe, but I just want to welcome you to the channel, even if you're here just for today, because it's a blessing to have you guys here, and I'm really happy that you joined me, and we can all kind of experience this historic launch together. So yeah, I'm really happy. This is gonna be amazing, guys. We got 3 minutes, man. T-minus 3 minutes. Should I watch it on YouTube? Comment in the chat. Should I play it on YouTube or should I play it on the website? Because I think they're gonna start playing it right here. I'm not sure though. It says join us here. Oh, here it is. Oh, they're just gonna play it on their website anyways. Now, NVIDIA had like a built-in player and everything, but I'm gonna do this just because this one here, the chat is just going ballistic. So I'm going to do it off AMD's website just because we can. And wow, I mean, we got 3 minutes to go. I can't believe it, guys. I mean, we've been waiting for this for months now, and this is a rather interesting launch because we don't know much about Zen 3. There's really not a lot of leaks about it. There's really not a lot of benchmarks or data about it. We know a little about the 5800X and the 5900X. We know the naming scheme is going to be the 5000 series, but we don't know much about that other than that, really. At least I don't. We know about the node it's on will be a 7 nanometer plus, which is an EUV node, which uses ultraviolet light when they are ultimately building that silicon, which allows for better transistor spacing and density. We know there's combined CCX, but you know the architecture here we're gonna see. I mean, it's gonna be amazing. I really think it's gonna be amazing. I can't wait. You know, to see. I'm probably rambling. You guys are I'm probably annoying you guys. I'm sorry. But yeah, this is it. We're 2 minutes to go, and wow, premiere in 60 seconds, guys. 60 seconds. Oh my lord. Hopefully Lisa comes out with like a goodie basket of CPUs, and she's just like 5 gigahertz for all, you know. But wow, here we go, guys. Actually, see real quick. I want to change one thing. I can't edit the latency. Put low latency. There's ultra low latency. I didn't see that. Okay. Here we go. 60 seconds, but it still isn't starting. It's been more than 60 seconds, guys. Come on. Premiere will begin shortly. And I'm on Ethernet, so you guys will have I'm having really good connection with this Ethernet, so you guys have no worries. I will not abandon you. Just go microphone adjusted. Okay. Goodness. AMD, where are you? Oh, my time's wrong. Oh well. Okay. Should be about live. Oh, sorry about that, guys. I hit my microphone. Come on, AMD. It's not even... There's no... Yes, it's a pre-recorded stream. That is one thing. It's a pre-recorded stream, but there's nothing showing right now. Oh, here we go. Okay. Oh. Is the volume good enough? Is the volume good enough? Please let me know. minute, guys. And I'm gonna try not to talk too much through this too. I'm just gonna kind of let the music, if the music playing or whatnot, then I will listen, I will talk or whatnot. But I'm not gonna try to interrupt. So speakers are transitioning stuff, whatever. If you guys have questions, drop them in the chat. I'm gonna try not to answer them all. Information is being presented, so I don't miss anything that may be important, or maybe you might miss something, or maybe another listener might miss something. So I am saying that. But if you have questions or comments, drop them in the chat. I'll try to get to them when we have breaks. And at the end, I'll do a quick, 5-10 minute recap of what we saw. We'll have a video coming out this weekend as a recap, which you can go back and watch if you can't stay for the complete stream. Thanks so much for joining me, and let's get into it.
We started ZEN from scratch, starting with a clean sheet of paper.
ZEN turned out to be a grounds-up design, which doesn't come along very often.
In the life of an engineer, you get to build something this significant once, twice, if you're lucky, 3 times in your lifetime. AMD enables the engineers to go off and innovate and to bring to market what it is that they dream about.
I'm extremely pleased to show you for the first time the name of our new CPU. Now it's time for you to see Ryzen in action. We wanted to disrupt the PC market. We wanted to bring innovation, choice, and performance to as many people as possible. In high-performance PCs, it was about delivering more performance at every single price point.
The Ryzen Threadripper acknowledges that there are people who want to create and game on the same PC and need the scalability and need the performance to do that. And that's what's really exciting about the Threadripper chip.
It was our commitment to our customers that we would deliver to the roadmap that we set out, and momentum is now on our side.
The anticipation around 3rd Gen Ryzen is really impressive. Meet the world's first 16-core gaming processor.
Now, in 2019, 3rd Gen Ryzen ZEN.
What we did in ZEN was push well beyond what we thought we could do. It makes me so proud to be able to look back and say that I was part of that.
Our mission with Ryzen has always been clear. It's about making the right bets 3 to 5 years in advance and making sure that they come to fruition. Our goal is to give you the best.
Here we go.
Welcome, everyone. Big welcome to all of you, and thank you all for joining us today. I've been looking forward to this moment all year, and I know many of you have too. It's been a challenging year for everyone as we've navigated the COVID-19 pandemic globally. But one thing we've learned is just how important high-performance computing technologies really are. From work, to school, to gaming, to entertainment, the PC is now the computing platform of choice in 2020. And I'm really excited to show you today what we have been working on for the next-gen PC platforms, and especially for all of you gamers. Now, it's already been an incredible year for gamers. There's so much excitement around the next-gen consoles. We are so proud to power the new Sony PlayStation 5 with a high-performance custom chip featuring our AMD Ryzen CPU and AMD Radeon GPU technology. And we are equally proud that custom AMD processors also powered the new Microsoft Xbox Series X and Series S consoles, again, featuring our high-performance Ryzen and Radeon technologies. These consoles are bringing just incredible technology to gamers all over the world and are really a result of just deep engineering partnerships over many, many years with both Sony and Microsoft. Now, gaming is at the heart of so much of what we do at AMD. Whether you're talking about PCs or consoles or cloud gaming and mobile. AMD loves gaming, and we like to say gaming begins with AMD. So today, we're going to talk specifically about our next-gen PC gaming platform. So let's talk a little bit about Ryzen. Now, you guys know we brought the first generation of Ryzen to market in 2017. And we actually had one goal. It was to build the best PC desktop processor possible. Now, we knew we wouldn't get there in one step, but with each generation of Ryzen, it's gotten better. And we focused on how do we deliver more performance? How do we deliver the best features? And how do we give more capabilities to all of you PC enthusiasts so that you can do more than you ever thought with your desktop or in your notebook? And we've made great, great progress. We started with Ryzen in desktops, and then we introduced Ryzen Threadripper in high-end desktops. And now, actually, Ryzen is in many amazing notebook systems with our Ryzen 4000 series. I think it's safe to say that AMD loves the PC, and I think also it's safe to say that PC users love Ryzen. So we really appreciate that. Now look, let's just focus on the desktop for a few minutes. The progress we have made over the last few years has been really amazing. If you look at the market before Ryzen, the desktop PC was on sort of an incremental performance slope for the last many years. Now, over the past 3 years, we've significantly changed that trajectory and really completely reset expectations as we've gone from first-gen Ryzen to second-gen, now to third-gen Ryzen. We were the first to launch a 7-nanometer desktop processor, and today, third-gen Ryzen leads in so many areas. We're the highest in multi-threaded performance. We are the best in terms of power efficiency, and third-gen Ryzen is an absolutely great gaming processor. But as you know, we're really ambitious. So our work with Ryzen is never done. Our engineers have been on this maniacal focus of what can we do more? What can we do better? So today, we're here to talk about our brand new CPU core. You've all been waiting for it. It's all about Zen 3. And with Zen 3, we focused again on bringing the best to the PC market. I'm so proud of what we've accomplished. Zen 3 increases our lead in overall performance. It increases our lead in power efficiency. And also now, it delivers the best single-threaded performance and gaming performance as well. We've made massive changes in the core architecture, and I'm sure all of you want to know what's inside Zen 3. So let me hand it over to AMD CTO Mark Papermaster to give you all the details. Mark?
Okay, so that's what I said about the single-threaded.
Well, thank you, Lisa. I couldn't be more excited than to share a little bit more about Zen 3 and our progression to get here. It's been quite a journey. We set a course over 5 years ago to design a family of high-performance x86 CPUs. Our goal, very simply, outright leadership. We set up the team so that development of multiple processor generations could be done in parallel, with designers leapfrogging from one generation to another. This has resulted in consistent delivery to the market as promised. I could not be more proud than to help unveil our third generation of Zen Core debuting in Ryzen desktops this fall. It is a beast in performance and will deliver absolute leadership in the x86 market. Zen brought us back into high performance with a 52% improvement in instruction per clock in a single generation. It built a strong base for us to build upon as we developed the Zen family. Last year, Zen 2 brought double-digit
Why is it still on
increase
7
in
nanometer? I thought it was on
instruction per
7 nanometer
clock
plus.
and debuted 7 nanometer in chiplet technology. That 7 nanometer efficiency enabled leadership, multi-core performance, and core density. The innovative chiplet implementation allowed us ease of manufacturing with the small 7 nanometer die and scalability to leadership core counts. And now Zen 3. Wow, what a great job by the design team to improve every aspect of the CPU, delivering leadership performance in that same 7 nanometer node. Higher frequency, higher instruction per clock, with design improvements across all of the CPU components, and lower latency on top of that. You look at some of the key elements. There's a new layout of our processor that brings all the cores onto a unified 8-core complex. and that accelerates core-to-core communication. That's especially helpful for gaming workloads. That consolidation actually allows every core to directly access the 32 megabytes of L3 cache, and that dramatically accelerates workloads that are latency sensitive, like gaming. And finally, significant changes throughout the Zen 3 architecture, generating a 19% instruction per clock uplift. That's on top of the significant gains that we had just in the mid of last year with Zen 2.
So that's why I said 15 to
Altogether,
25%.
Zen 3 is our most significant architectural update yet across the Zen family. We made the Zen 3 floating point and integer execution units wider, more flexible, and allows us to deliver more execution capability to the user at a lower latency. We've increased the number of loads and stores that we can do versus Zen 2, helping us feed those wider execution capabilities of Zen 3. We've added more branch prediction bandwidth. It allows Zen 3 to tackle back-to-back predictions much more quickly, reducing the delays. We call it zero bubble. These innovations keep Zen 3 ahead of the industry norm on generational improvements and position Zen 3-based Ryzen to be a clear desktop performance leader. Microprocessor performance engineering never has one single bullet. It takes focused microprocessor engineering. It's a broad set of improvements that are needed to make a great architecture. It takes innovation on all of the key levers. Zen 3 is a total front-to-back redesign. The microarchitecture had laser focus on performance on every element. End-to-end improvements, the caching, load store, our execution units, our prefetching, our dispatch, our decode. Zen 2, in fact, had been organized with 2 4-core cache complexes, and it was tightly integrated. That was a very good design, but what we found is that we brought that together into that single unified cache core complex, that we brought that direct access to 32 megabytes of L3 cache rather than the 16 megabytes that we have with Zen 2. That direct access to a cache pool of this size is very significant for gaming. They tend to make frequent use, of course, of the memory subsystem, and in fact, many games have a dominant thread. And that makes especially heavy use of the cache, and that thread now sees effectively twice the L3 cache in Zen 3. So every core can now communicate directly to the cache without traversing across the die, and that reduces latency. And it stays synchronized for applications using AI, audio, physics, and more. You can see that we continue our relentless commitment to energy efficiency with every generation.
3900
We're
XT.
always honing our design methodologies to focus on performance per watt, even as we make the processors faster for gamers. Zen 3 is no different, delivering up to 24% improvement in power efficiency versus the prior generation. That's double-digit performance per watt uplift in the same process node. And that's on top of all the architectural changes that we drove in to drive up the performance. Our commitment to energy efficiency across time has put us in the driver's seat. Today, we're more than 2.8x more efficient than competing high-end desktop processors. And that's only a strengthening of the leadership that we demonstrated during the prior Zen 2 era. We will not let up going forward. We're focused on execution. Zen 3 is shipping as promised. In the 5-nanometer Zen 4, on track, in design. The AMD team is hitting on all cylinders, and there's no shortage of innovations for the next generation of Zen processors to keep AMD in the forefront and deliver the best compute experience for our customers. Thank you. And let me welcome back Lisa to now show off our Zen 3 and new Ryzen processors.
They were launching. I didn't think they were going to launch today.
Thank you, Mark. That was great. I'm so proud of what the team has accomplished with Zen 3. We really focused on what is most important for gamers and enthusiasts. And at 19% IPC increase, it's our largest increase generation over generation since we launched the Zen family. So now let's see Zen 3 in action. I'm so proud to show you for the very first time the AMD Ryzen 5000 series for high-performance PCs.
5000 series.
The world's first Zen 3 powered CPU. This is the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X.
Oh my goodness, there
12
is.
cores, 24 threads, and a boost up to 4.8 gigahertz. It's a very special product, the ultimate
4.8.
enthusiast processor. Compared to the 3900 XT, the 5900X has 19% higher IPC, higher clock speeds, and all of the Zen 3 core improvements that Mark talked about, all
only
while
4.8.
remaining at 105 watts. This makes Ryzen 5900X a big upgrade from 3rd gen Ryzen all around, but especially in gaming. Now let me turn it over to Robert Halleck to show you the 5900X in action.
Thanks, Lisa. Hey everyone, let me give you a sense of just how much faster the 5900X is compared to our current best, the 3900 XT. To do that, we're going to use Shadow of the Tomb Raider, a game I personally love, and a game reviewers often look at to judge CPU performance. We're going to run the built-in benchmark here at 1080p using the high image quality preset on two otherwise identical
Holy moly.
systems. You can see a whopping 28% increase just by moving from the 39XT to the 5900X in Shadow of the Tomb Raider.
So the clocks
And
don't
as you will
matter.
soon see, the performance from the 5900X is faster than the competing processors as well. Now, as any enthusiast knows, 28% from a processor change is a massive upgrade. But that's what AMD customers like me can look forward to. This truly demonstrates the gaming strength for Zen 3 when you combine the historic IPC uplift, unified cores, and unified cache pools. Now, as we zoom out to look at a wider set of games, you can see that the 28% uplift in Shadow of the Tomb Raider is joined by many titles with significant double-digit performance improvements. The gains are even bigger in titles like CSGO and League of Legends, where the highest possible frame rate is practically the #1 priority to be competitive. Overall, gamers upgrading from the Ryzen 3000 series to the Ryzen 5000 series can expect an average performance improvement of 26% at 1080p. Again, this is just a monumental performance
So I said
jump
25 is
for
26,
an
but oh my
in-socket
goodness,
upgrade in the
Intel
same
is
motherboard,
cooked.
and a true testament for how good Zen 3 is in gaming. Now, as many know, strong gaming performance relies on strong single-core performance. That's exactly what Zen 3 has. And I want to show you using Cinebench R20 single-thread. There are many ways to assess single-thread performance, but Cinebench is a fast and easy tool that you can run at home. And it's one of the 25 workloads that we used to calculate the 19% improvement for Zen 3's instructions per cycle. As you can see, the 5900X is the first desktop processor to ever break a 600 score. And we don't break it by a little, we break it by a lot with a score
Oh my goodness.
of 631. We at AMD heard you loud and clear as you challenged us to continue investing in single-core performance, and the results speak for themselves. The combination of IPC, frequency, cores, and cache give AMD the fastest cores in the desktop market and give you the best possible gaming
Yes,
performance.
yes, they did.
So let's take that landmark core performance into a head-to-head battle. Across the same set of games you just saw, the AMD Ryzen 9 5900X is a clear winner at 1080p. As I promised you, AMD wins in Shadow of the Tomb Raider by +6 and is joined by many other games popular with reviewers and users like you. League of Legends and CSGO are once again standout victories for the Ryzen 9 5900X. So that was a lot of data very quickly. Let's take a step back. Let's recap. You saw an average uplift of 26% for Ryzen customers upgrading from the 3000 series to the 5000 series. You just watched AMD deliver the highest single-core performance in the entire desktop PC market. And you just saw AMD clearly offer the best performance of any gaming processor on the market. I will put it plainly. We know that you're going to wait for benchmarks, but customers who buy processors purely for their gaming performance will absolutely want a Ryzen 9 5900X for the best possible PC gaming experience.
Wow.
Now let's bring Lisa back up to give you more details on these awesome gaming processors.
So they're probably launching the 8-core too, I'd assume.
Thanks, Robert. That was fantastic. I hope you're all now convinced that the Ryzen 9 5900X is the best gaming processor in the world. Now let's look at the stack. In the 5000 series, we have a great choice for every gamer or PC enthusiast. In addition to the 5900X, we have the 5800X, an 8-core, 16-thread processor with boost frequencies up to 4.7 gigahertz at 105 watts. And we also have the 5600X, a 6-core, 12-thread CPU with boost frequencies up to 4.6 gigahertz at 65 watts. Now let's talk about price and availability. The 6-core 5600X is $299. The 8-core 5800X is $449.
They did raise pricing.
And the amazing 5900X, combining the leadership performance and power efficiency of Zen 3 in a 12-core 7-nanometer design, is priced at $549. And all of these will be available globally on November 5th. We're really proud of the 5000 series, but you know we're not done. We love our enthusiasts, and there's one more processor in our stack, which is the ultimate processor for gaming and content creation.
Nope, 5950X.
For those of you who want the very best processor in a desktop PC, we have the 16-core Ryzen 9 5950X.
Holy cow.
The 5950X
oh my goodness.
is simply an amazing
4.9!
16 cores, 32 threads,
oh my goodness.
And our fastest processor with boost frequencies up to 4.9 gigahertz. The 5950X breaks the Cinebench R20 single-threaded record that Robert set just a few minutes ago with a score of 640. It is truly the best in class in every dimension. Best gaming performance meets best processor for content creation, and all of this still at 105 watts. Now let's take a look at some of the performance. If we look at the generational uplift from the 3950X to the 5950X, we see up to 27% more performance in CAD workloads and 12% more performance in rendering workloads. More impressively, we see up to 29% more gaming performance. And this is really how we bring the best of both worlds together. The best for gamers and the best for creators. And now, if you put 5950X against the top of the stack from the competition, we see that the 5950X provides up to 59% more creative performance in rendering workloads, double-digit wins in video editing and software compiling, and we also win in lightly threaded CAD workloads as well. We're really proud of the fact that we also win in gaming. There's nothing like the 5950X in the world. One processor that delivers the best power efficiency, our highest clock speeds, the highest single-core performance in the industry, and the highest multi-core performance of any gaming processor. And it's priced at $799 and will also be available globally on November 5th. I hope you're now as excited about AMD Ryzen 5000 series as I am. Zen 3 is really amazing, and I'm so happy we could show it to you today. But you guys send me a lot of notes and a lot of tweets, and I know that you're not just excited about Ryzen 5000 series,
oh my
but
goodness.
there's a tremendous amount of enthusiasm and curiosity about our Radeon lineup as well.
What
so
is
the next
this?
few weeks are just an amazing time for us. In addition to introducing our Ryzen 5000 series, we're also going to introduce our next-gen Radeon GPU, and I want to give you a small preview of that today.
Oh my goodness.
This is the AMD Radeon RX 6000 series, which we now affectionately call Big Navi, thanks to many of you who nicknamed it for us.
Oh my goodness.
It is absolutely gorgeous and by far the most powerful gaming GPU we have ever built. We got a lot of requests from our fans on social, and I heard a whole conversation on the Full Nerd last week about wanting to see Zen 3 and Big Navi in action. So today, I'm going to show you a preview of what you can expect from AMD Ryzen 9 5900X and our Radeon 6000 series. We've been doing a tremendous amount of work optimizing gameplay with Ryzen 5000 and Radeon 6000 series. So let me show you today Borderlands 3, which is a very popular AAA title running at 4K resolution on the Ryzen 5900X and our Radeon 6000 series. Just take a look at that performance. Over 60 frames per second at 4K with beautiful image quality. We are super excited with what we've accomplished with Big Navi. In addition to Borderlands 3, here's a bit more of a performance preview on Call of Duty Modern Warfare and Gears of War 5 at ultra settings in 4K.
Oh my goodness.
And again, what you see is tremendous 4K performance across the board. We still have a few weeks until launch, and the team is working really hard on fine-tuning things. But I hope you're as excited as we are about what Ryzen 5000 series and Radeon 6000 series can do together for your next generation PC. So that brings us to the end. I hope you enjoyed today. It's been so much fun spending time with you. We have a lot more to show you later this month, so join us again on October 28th, where we'll give you the full story of our AMD Radeon RX 6000 series. And make sure you mark your calendar for November 5th to find Ryzen 5000 series on shelf worldwide. Take care and see you soon.
I cannot believe they actually showed off Big Navi. They're really trying to take NVIDIA's market share. Oh my goodness. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. 20 Ti. Oh. 20 Ti. Yeah, this isn't any. That's Cinebench. Price is subject to change, which means they're probably gonna lower pricing, guys. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So we have a lot to talk about. Holy crap! They showed Big Navi. I did not expect that. I think they're really trying to take market share from video. But before that, 4.9 gigahertz. Okay, it wasn't the 5 gigahertz we were looking at. 4.9 gigahertz on a 16-core processor. That's crazy. I mean, that's crazy. And theoretically, if you have good cooling, you probably could hit 5 gigahertz on that with overclocking. So that's amazing. But this really shows that there's not a clock speed game, it's a latency game. And that's where Intel was lacking, is latency. And this shows. I mean, I was like, okay, 15, 25%. Oh no, it was 26% with, I mean, sometimes 50% increase in performance. I mean, this is a crazy generational leap. I did not expect Zen 3 to be this big, nor did I expect to see actual products launched today. I mean, that 12-core 5900X, oh my goodness. Now, the pricing, I did say that earlier in the video. I said if they do raise price, and we fit, $20 to $50, I think, which they did, but there's nothing they really can compete with at this point. And, I guess as consumers, we just have to hope that they are going to put that money towards more R&D to improve their products further in the future. But I'm really shocked. I'm really shocked how well. I mean, that was amazing what they did. And I really think AMD, versus Intel, we saw that even a 16-core, their top end, the AMD top end processor, flagship 16 cores, was beating the 10900K, but in single-threaded applications, single-core applications, AMD was the clear winner, way above Intel. We saw that with the Cinebench, but and I know you're like, well, that's Cinebench, but even with Cinebench there being at high of a score, we know that it's gonna be amazing. Intel will try to undercut, but AMD will counter. I'm excited as heck. LOL. Okay, yeah, Intel will try to undercut because they have the money, but I think AMD launched these intentionally in a way to... That's actually a thought. What if AMD raised the pricing so Intel would undercut and AMD would drop pricing, forcing Intel to drop pricing? What if they're trying to compete with Intel that way? What if they're trying to start to squeeze all the cash flow out of Intel by doing that? That was a good point you made. I really like that. Bingo. Yes, bingo indeed. So, wow, that's impressive. Let's see if they're launched. Guys. New Journey. Nope, they're not on yet. But, yeah, that was a very, very impressive launch. And, we got to see that Zen 3 was amazing, but Furthermore, Big Navi 60 frames per second in 4K, though it was not true 4K. This is what is concerning me, is that wasn't true 4K. 4K resolution is anything in 4,000 pixels, and that was 3840. So genuine 4K is 4096 by 2160, and this is the more common 4K. So it wasn't true 4K. It was still 4K, but I am a little bit upset with that one. Yeah, I'm trying to see 4K resolutions. But yeah, that was amazing. That was an amazing launch. For sure. I really did not expect that at all. That was really impressive. So what are you guys' thoughts on it? Pricing. I know we didn't get the clock speeds we wanted. But not saying there's samples, which I remember we were seeing a sample a while back, and they're like, it's hitting 3.8 gigahertz, it's hitting 3.9 gigahertz. One of them was hitting 3.9. We thought it was an 8-core or 12-core, and it was a 16-core. I was hitting 3.9, which, to be honest, I'm a little confused. If there's 4 more cores, 8 more threads than the 12-core, but it's somehow clocking higher. Why would they clock it? Why wouldn't they just clock the 12-core higher? They obviously could pull more. I don't understand how that's working out with the TBP and such there, with pulling power and getting those clocks. I really think they could have tweaked the 3950, or not the 3950, the 3900X to hit 5 gigahertz. But I'm telling you guys, if you guys get a good water cooling setup, you should be able to hit overclocking 5 gigahertz on that chip easy. Intel obviously hitting 5.3 gigahertz is like overclocking. But like I said, it's a latency game, and it is not a clock speed game. But this is amazing. This is a really big launch. I'm going to do a summary. I was actually shocked how short and sweet it was. But a lot of the information we were told was right about the decreased latency with the combined CCX, the 8-core CCX. And we had, the same core counts. My 3900X has been clocked to 4.6. All core stable with custom loop. So the 3950 and 3900 ought to hit 5 gigahertz easy peasy. Yeah, I have a 3900X. I'm in my basement, so it stays about 65 degrees year round, and this thing hits 4.4 gigahertz roughly all the time. And I just have the stock cooler, and I have 5 case fans, 5 120 millimeter case fans. So I mean, it's a pretty good chip for sure. But yeah, I gotta do sometimes I gotta show you guys do a rig tour. Maybe for 100 subscribers we can do a rig tour. That'd be kind of fun, I think. But yeah, I mean, that was amazing. I'm happy you guys all joined. Like I said, if you guys have thoughts in the comments and such, or questions, drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer them. Happy, like I said, thanks everyone for joining. This is my first successful live stream. Cheers to many more. I can't wait to do RDNA 2 though, because that's really the one we've all been waiting for. I know Zen 3 is impressive. We want to see AMD take over Intel, but we already knew this was coming. We already knew Intel was going to get beat, but we don't know much about AMD. And I mean, seeing that 60 FPS, I think at the end of the day, Zen 3, the dust will settle. But I think a lot of people are going to be talking about that demo on Big Navi. So, which AMD's now calling it Big Navi. That's kind of funny how that's why I said AMD's very connected to the consumer. Nvidia walks out like BF GPU 3090, and we're all like, that's kind of weird. And AMD's like, Big Navi, we listen to you, And it shows how AMD really cares about the consumer and pays attention to what people are saying. And whether you think or not they're listening, they are listening, and they are trying, to do the best they can. But yeah, I really think this was a successful launch overall. Oh, thank you for the subscription. This was a very, very successful launch. And I'm really happy you all got to join me. The pricing going up is a little bit disappointing, but given the competition, I mean, if you're better than your competition and you give that much of a generational leap, I mean, it's, it's justifiable. But my advice to everyone here while you're in, don't buy these on launch. Don't buy these on launch unless you absolutely are either building a brand new unit or you are in desperate need for a new chip, because the prices will drop a few months after launch. I'd say for sure 6 months after launch, the prices will be pretty much dropped to where they're going to sit at, and that's when I would go to pick one of these up. But if you wait a few months after launch, I think that the pricing will drop. So don't buy these immediately unless you desperately need a new one or you're building a new computer at that time. And the same thing, Radeon GPUs, I mean, I don't really know what to say about those much. I don't know too much about pricing or anything involving the 6000 series. But if you're waiting to build a new rig, that does give you some time, because those cards are supposed to launch on the 20th. However, here's my take. Zen 3 we were supposed to have these processors launched on the 20th, okay, of this month. And they were launched today. So my prediction is Big Navi is going to be launched on the 28th. So make sure you are here on the 20th. I don't think they're going to do a whole story time. I know they said they're going to tell the story. I don't think they're doing a whole story time for half an hour, an hour. I think they're going to launch the darn thing because they have everyone's attention. They're not going to create another launch event to launch it. This is the biggest GPU NVIDIA or AMD or anyone's ever launched in terms of the publicity and such. Big Navi is, going to take the market, by surprise, and it's going to wow us all. And yeah, it's gonna be amazing. But yeah, thank you everybody for joining me. If you have no other further questions, I'm gonna head out now. I'm gonna try to do a summary video. It's only about 10 minutes. I mean, there's not a lot I can do as far as feedback reel. I'm gonna leave this video up if you want to look at it and you want to go back to. I'm gonna leave this on the channel. But as far as feedback and such go, if you are just looking for a summary of this, I'm going to do a quick 5-10 minute summary video. Not as much my input as it is just what this was, what happened, and I will start squeezing out RDNA 2 content here in the coming weeks. Super excited. I'm going to do a whole video with that, and what Lisa Sue debuted today with the demo. I'm going to include that in the video too. But I want to thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the likes. Thank you all for the views. Thank you all for the subscriptions. Thank you all for everything you've done for this channel. If you have any advice, if you have any commentary, please let me know. This was a truly awesome experience, and I will catch you guys soon. Bye. Oh, congratulations on the live stream. Big Navi got my PCIe slot. Oh dear. Yep. I've got my top slot saved for. I got a 57 XT, and I'm just gonna bump it down a slot because that thing's gonna be obsolete with this. It's gonna be obsolete. But yeah, I cannot wait. So yep. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. Have a great day. Stay well, stay healthy, stay safe. Don't sell your kidneys just yet. And I will be back on the 28th.